What if everything you know suddenly starts moving without you? Right now, you are standing still, or at least it feels that way. But in reality, you are moving incredibly fast. The Earth is spinning, carrying you at a speed of over 1,600 kilometers per hour at the equator. You don't feel it because everything around you is moving at the same speed. But what if, in one single moment, the Earth just stopped? No slowing down, no warning, just instant silence in motion. At first, your brain wouldn't understand what is happening. The ground beneath your feet would feel normal for a split second, but your body, along with everything else not deeply attached to the Earth, would continue moving at that same high speed. This means you wouldn't just fall, you would be thrown forward violently, faster than the speed of a commercial airplane. Buildings would tear apart, cars would fly like loose objects, trees would rip from the ground. Entire cities would be destroyed in seconds. The air itself would become a weapon. Because here's something important. The atmosphere, the air around us, is not glued to the Earth. When the planet stops, the air keeps moving. Massive winds would sweep across the surface at unimaginable speeds, stronger than any hurricane in history. These winds would flatten everything in their path. If you somehow survived the first few seconds, the next moments would be just as deadly. The oceans would not stay still either. Water has momentum, just like everything else. When the Earth stops, oceans would continue moving, creating enormous waves. These waves would crash into continents, flooding cities and pushing water far inland. Places near the coast would disappear underwater almost instantly. But even areas far from the ocean would not be safe. The chaos would reach everywhere. And then something slower but even more dangerous begins. The day and night cycle would completely change. Right now, Earth's rotation gives us day and night, but without spinning, one side of the planet would always face the sun. The other side would face endless darkness. On the side facing the sun, temperatures would rise higher and higher. Without night to cool things down, the land would heat up to extreme levels. Water would begin to evaporate, rivers and lakes would slowly disappear. Plants would struggle, animals would die. Life would become almost impossible. On the dark side, the opposite happens. Without sunlight, temperatures would drop rapidly. Everything would freeze. Oceans would turn into thick layers of ice. The air itself could become dangerously cold. The Earth would split into two deadly worlds, one of fire, one of ice. But what about the middle? There would be a thin zone between these two extremes, a narrow area where the temperature might be just right for life. Not too hot, not too cold. This zone would slowly move over time as heat spreads, but it might become the only place where humans could survive. But survival would still be incredibly difficult. Weather patterns would completely change. Without rotation, the winds that normally move in patterns across the globe would behave differently. Storms could become stronger and more unpredictable. Rain might fall constantly in some areas, while others would never see it again. And then there is something even deeper happening inside the Earth. The planet is not a perfect sphere. Because it spins, it bulges slightly at the equator. This means the middle of the Earth is wider than the top and bottom. If the Earth suddenly stopped spinning, this bulge would begin to collapse. The shape of the planet would slowly change. This would cause massive earthquakes. The ground would shift in ways never seen before. Volcanoes could erupt. Entire regions could break apart. Now imagine all of this happening together. Violent winds, massive floods, extreme temperatures, constant earthquakes. The world you know would no longer exist. But here's something interesting. This scenario depends on one key detail, the word suddenly. If the Earth stopped slowly, over millions of years, life might have time to adapt. Humans could move toward the middle zone, new ecosystems could form, animals and plants might evolve to survive in extreme heat or cold. Life would not disappear completely, it would change. But an instant stop? That's a different story. Almost everything on the surface would be destroyed in a very short time. And yet, some life might still survive. Deep underground, where temperatures stay stable, in the deepest parts of the ocean where sunlight does not reach anyway, tiny organisms that don't rely on the surface could continue living. Life is surprisingly strong. But human civilization? That would likely be gone. And here's the final thought. The Earth has been spinning for billions of years. It has never just stopped. But even small changes in rotation can affect our world. Scientists can measure tiny variations in how fast the Earth spins, and these changes can impact time itself. So the idea of the Earth stopping is not just science fiction. It helps us understand how important this invisible motion really is. Because without it, everything changes. So, next time you stand still, remember something strange. You are actually moving incredibly fast. And if that motion ever stops, would you survive it?